Hey there. What on earth did you just ask me? You want to know about World of Warcraft lore? Oh man, have you come to the right place? Okay, sit down. Let me start. I guess at the start of the universe, there were all these there was dark and light, or I think they call it the void in the game. So, the void basically was going out and corrupting all these planets and whatnot, and these planets would have these evil bad guys on there. So obviously bad guys are bad, and we don't want bad guys. So there was this whole pantheon of titans, and what they did was, I guess they were too lazy to do things on their own. So I forget if they hired this dude or if they made him, but anyway, they made this titan or guy named Sargeras, and he went out. He was like the champion or whatever, and he started cleaving these planets in half because he's just a huge guy with a giant sword. And so he went around cutting all these planets in half, and the Void was like, hey man, stop doing that. And Sargeras was like, you crying? And then, he kept doing that over and over. But here's the issue is there were too many of the bad demon, not, sorry, they weren't demons. Too many of the Void creatures, and it's too much corruption everywhere. So Sargeras was getting tired. He's like, man, you guys are sending me all over the universe, and well, it's not really doing anything. It's like when you enter hard mode in Terraria, and the corruption just keeps spreading. And at this point, you only have the purifying powder with the Dryad, and then you need to kill the 3 mechanical bosses to get the Contaminator. And even then, it doesn't feel like it does anything because it just spreads so fast. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry. So at this point, Sargeras was getting tired, and he's like, man, I'm not doing this anymore. So what he did was he went and found a bunch of demons who I guess were in their little corner of the universe. And what he did was he hired them, I guess. I don't really know what you give them because, there's no universal currency or anything. But anyway, he was like, hey, demons, I don't like the void people. So let's go destroy all these planets, and I'll be your boss. So he did that, and he was the boss for a bit, or I guess forever, for a long time. I digress. So they went over and they kept doing that, and then the Titans were like, hey dude, we don't like how you're working with demons. That's bad. Demons are bad. And he's like, I'm doing better now because I'm killing more planets that are corrupted than you. So anyway, the Titans were like, not cool, bro. And he was like, you crying? And so he kept doing that, and anyway, he eventually found this, oh right, there are these things called world souls. They're like basically sleeping titans that sleep inside of these planets. And so there was this one called Argus where these weird goat creatures are from. And we'll get past that in a second. But anyway, he used the power of that world soul. He basically took a baby and he turned it into a battery so that anytime demons died in his army, he could just replenish them so he could keep, doing all this stuff around the universe. And yeah, and then he kept doing that, and the Titans didn't like this guy anymore, and he's like, you know what, screw you Titans, I don't need you. And so they had a little falling out, just like somebody and I still miss him to this day. Anyway, what happened then? I think there was there was this one planet. It was called Azeroth or something. It's, where the game actually takes place, believe it or not. Anyway, so basically inside of Azeroth, there was like a sleeping titan or whatever. And I guess the titans were like, oh, this is going to be the most powerful one whenever it awakens. But that we have a problem. And the problem is that there's 40 million void creatures infesting its way into the planet. So the big bad Titan guy, the lead guy, was like, his name is Amanthul, and he looks like Zeus. Anyway, he grabbed hold of the biggest one, because you go out to the schoolyard and you beat up the biggest kid there, and then you're the boss. I think that's how it works, at least. Anyway, he grabbed the biggest one, he's like, and then he yanked him out of the planet, and then instead of helping or doing anything productive. It actually just left a whole huge hole in the world, and, well, it left some pretty big problems for them to deal with. So, after that, um, I think they were like, oh, well, we can't kill them, or else, it'll damage the planet. So they just basically imprisoned them for like 1,000,000 years. And we're like, well, these other little people on the planet, the elements, they're fighting. So we're going to make them not fight. And we're going to put like little miniature versions of ourselves on the planet. And, they're gonna take care of things. And so then they just kind of left and fucked off for a little bit. And then, um, oh yeah, so at this point, Azeroth, it was just like a giant Pangea, basically, and all the continents were just together like a big puzzle piece. And then, after all the elementals, were subdued, and the Titan Keepers is what we call them. They started having order on the planet. I guess the races started thriving, and then there were like elves and trolls, and I don't think there were humans yet, but oh yeah, no, they were like big ugly humans. Yeah, they were really ugly. Anyway, then there was like this big elven society on top of this huge mountain overlooking the place where the Titan guy pulled the void creature out of the world and left that giant hole. That's like next to where they settled, because I guess for some reason there's a big font of magic there. It didn't really make sense, I guess. I guess that's where the world was weak, right? Anyway, then there was like a whole society of trolls and stuff, and the elves didn't like the trolls, and then the trolls didn't like the trolls, and then they were all like, you crying? Basically, that's my way of saying there was fantasy racism, as any good game should have. Anyway, I've been rambling for a real long time, and, well, information comes at a price. This is really useful stuff, And I don't expect you to grasp all of it with your tiny pea brain, but hey, don't look at me like that. It is hard stuff, Anyway, next time you want to learn more, make sure to compensate me fairly. Anyway, bye.